What if the struggles you face today aren't really yours? What if you came here specifically to heal what your ancestors couldn't? I know that sounds impossible, but stay with me. That bone-deep fear of not being enough, the way you sabotage success right before breakthrough. That feeling like you're fighting a war that started before you were born. What if your soul chose this family to break these exact patterns? See, we inherit more than eye color and height. We inherit invisible wounds, unconscious fears, and limiting beliefs that have been passed down for generations. But here's what nobody tells you. You didn't get stuck with these patterns by accident. In the next 15 minutes, I'll show you how to complete the sacred contract you made before birth, how to heal what your bloodline has carried for centuries, and set your entire family tree free. Here's what most people don't understand about family patterns. We inherit more than DNA, we inherit soul contracts. Your great-grandmother's trauma of scarcity might be why you can't keep money, no matter how hard you try. Your grandfather's suppressed anger might be why you explode at small things that shouldn't matter. But here's what goes even deeper than that. Your soul chose this family knowing you'd be the one to break these exact patterns. Think of your family lineage like a sacred river. The water that flows to you carries everything that happened upstream, the love, the wisdom, the strength that helped them survive. But it also carries the unhealed wounds, the unexpressed grief, the limiting beliefs they couldn't break free from. You are not a victim of this river, you are the healing it has been flowing toward for generations. If you've ever felt like an outsider in your own family, like you think differently, feel more deeply, or dream bigger than everyone around you, that's not because something's wrong with you. That's because you came here as the pattern breaker, the cycle ender, the family healer. You're the one they've been waiting for. I used to wonder why I had such deep fear of abandonment, even though my parents never actually left me. Then I learned my great-grandmother lost 3 children in a war she never talked about. But in meditation, I realized something that changed everything. My soul chose to be born into this lineage because I had the spiritual strength to feel that ancient grief and finally heal it. Not just for me, but for her, for all of them. Here's the sacred truth nobody talks about. You didn't just randomly inherit these patterns. Your soul specifically chose this family, knowing you'd be the one strong enough to transform centuries of pain into wisdom. Let me show you the 4 keys to breaking free from your family's hidden patterns. So the first key to breaking free is this. See the pattern, not the person. Here's what happens to most of us. You blame yourself for patterns that aren't even yours, or you blame your parents for damaging you. But what if I told you these patterns are actually sacred assignments your soul accepted before you were born? What if your struggles aren't random suffering, but purposeful soul contracts? Instead of asking, why me? Why do I have to deal with this? Start asking, what did my soul come here to heal? The moment you see your struggles as soul contracts rather than random suffering, everything shifts. You stop being a victim and become a sacred warrior. Let me get practical with you. Notice, do you shut down when criticized, carrying your father's unexpressed shame? Do you people please like your mother did, terrified of abandonment? Do you struggle with money like your grandparents, carrying their survival fears from times when there literally wasn't enough? These aren't accidents. These aren't coincidences. They're the exact patterns your soul came to transform. Here's the truth that changes everything. You are not broken by these patterns. You are chosen by them. Your soul specifically signed up to be the one who transforms family trauma into family wisdom. You volunteered for this assignment because you had the spiritual strength to handle it. I kept attracting emotionally unavailable partners over and over until I realized something profound. I wasn't just repeating my grandmother's pattern. I was here to heal the ancestral wound of women in my lineage who believed they weren't worthy of full love. My grandmother accepted scraps. Her mother before her settled for less. But once I saw this as my sacred work, not my personal failure, everything changed. I broke the pattern not just for me, but for all of them. If you've ever felt like you're living someone else's emotional life, like these feelings are too big for your personal experience, it's because you're completing their unfinished spiritual business. But there's something even deeper happening when you start to actually feel what they couldn't feel. The second key is probably the most challenging, but also the most powerful. Feel what they couldn't feel. Here's what happened to your ancestors. They survived by numbing, suppressing, or pushing through emotions. They had to. There wasn't time to grieve properly, to feel the full weight of their losses, to express their rage at injustice. They did what they had to do to survive. But here's what nobody talks about. Unexpressed emotions don't just disappear. They get stored in what mystics call the family field, waiting for someone brave enough to finally feel them. When you feel the emotions they couldn't feel, you're not just healing yourself. You're completing ancient soul contracts and freeing your entire lineage from emotional prisons they've been trapped in for generations. Let me make this real for you. If your family never grieved their losses properly, you might carry unexplained waves of sadness that seem to come from nowhere. If they never expressed their rage at injustice, you might feel fury that's bigger than anything in your personal life. This isn't pathology. This isn't mental illness. This is sacred work. Feel it fully, not just for you, but for every ancestor who couldn't. Sometimes your depression is actually your great-grandfather's grief finally finding a safe place to be felt. Your anxiety might be your grandmother's terror finally finding someone strong enough to hold it. You're not sick, you're a soul-level processor for your entire family tree. I once spent an entire weekend crying uncontrollably and couldn't understand why. I hadn't lost anything. Nothing traumatic had happened to me. Later, I learned it was the exact anniversary of my ancestors' traumatic death. The family never allowed themselves to properly mourn. My tears weren't random. They were completing a century-old healing that my soul had specifically incarnated to finish. If you feel emotions that seem too vast for your personal life, you're likely processing ancestral pain. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. You're the family's emotional healer. But feeling alone isn't enough. You also need to speak directly to them. The third key might sound mystical, but it's incredibly practical. Speak to your ancestors. We've been taught that death ends relationship, but that's not how it works at the soul level. Your ancestors are still energetically connected to you, waiting for someone in the family line to complete their unfinished spiritual business. They're not gone. They're just operating from a different dimension. Your ancestors exist in a timeless realm where healing can happen retroactively. When you speak to them with conscious love and clear boundaries, you're literally healing across dimensions of time and space. Here's how you do it. Sit quietly and feel into their presence. You don't need to see them or hear voices. Just feel. Then say something like this. I see the soul contracts we share. I honor the pain you carried and the incredible strength it took to survive what you survived. I understand why you made the choices you did, but I am here now to complete what you couldn't finish. I lovingly release what is not mine to carry, and I send you my healing light. You might feel their relief when you say this. That's not your imagination. That's real interdimensional healing happening in real time. Your ancestors aren't gone. They're in the quantum field, deeply invested in your healing because your freedom literally means their freedom. They've been waiting lifetimes for a soul strong enough to break the patterns they couldn't break. When I spoke to my alcoholic grandfather in meditation, telling him I understood his pain but refused to carry his addiction forward, I felt his soul release a breath it had been holding for decades. My craving for alcohol vanished instantly. It wasn't psychology, it was soul-level surgery across time. If ancestor communication feels strange to you, remember this. You share the same soul frequency. They're not separate from you. They're earlier versions of the same eternal consciousness you are. You're already connected. But speaking to them is just the beginning. The real power comes when you consciously choose a completely new story for your lineage. So you've seen the patterns, you've felt the emotions, you've spoken to your ancestors. But here's where the real magic happens. You've been unconsciously living inside your family's limited story. Their fears became your fears. Their ceiling of what's possible became your ceiling. Their beliefs about worthiness, about love, about money, about success. You've been wearing them like invisible chains. But what if I told you something that will change everything? You didn't come here to repeat their story. You came here to be the family revolutionary, the one who breaks the ancestral ceiling and creates an entirely new timeline for your lineage. When you step into your soul's true power, you're not betraying your family. You're fulfilling your deepest soul contract with them. Listen to this. If your family believed money corrupts the soul, you can say, I honor your fear of money's shadow, but I choose to believe money amplifies my capacity to serve. If they believed love always ends in betrayal, you can declare, I am here to prove that sacred love is possible. Your new choices don't dishonor them. They complete their unfinished dreams. Here's what mystics have known for centuries. When you heal and consciously choose a different path, you create what we call a timeline split. You literally heal backwards through time, giving your ancestors a different energetic outcome and forwards into the future, blessing generations not yet born. The moment I chose to build a thriving spiritual business, breaking my family's pattern of spirituality and money don't mix, I felt a dimensional shift. In meditation, I saw my ancestors celebrating because I had become the bridge between their spiritual wisdom and material abundance. I literally became the ancestor they had dreamed of, but couldn't become themselves. If you've always felt different from your family, like you came from another planet, now you know why. Your soul specifically incarnated to be the pattern interruption, the frequency shifter, the one who rewrites the family's entire spiritual DNA. Now I need you to really hear this. You are not a victim of your family's patterns. You are the soul who specifically chose to incarnate into this lineage because you had the spiritual strength to transform centuries of family karma into wisdom and freedom. Let that sink in for a moment. So how do you actually do this work? I'm going to give you a 7-minute daily practice that will literally rewire your family's entire energetic field. This isn't theory anymore. This is soul surgery. Here's your sacred daily ritual. First, light a candle and connect to your soul's purpose. Say out loud, I acknowledge my sacred contract to heal this family line. Feel the weight and the honor of that truth. Second, feel into the ancestral pattern with deep compassion. Say, I see this pattern of fear or scarcity or unworthiness, and I understand why it existed. Don't judge it. Don't hate it. Understand that your ancestors did the best they could with what they had. Third, speak your soul's choice across time. This is where you literally rewrite the family timeline. Say, I lovingly release this pattern from our entire lineage. I choose courage. I choose abundance. I choose worthiness for myself, my ancestors, and all who come after me. Fourth, send healing light through time. Close your eyes and visualize golden light traveling backwards to all your ancestors and forwards to future generations. See them receiving this gift of freedom you're giving them. Finally, thank your soul and theirs. Say, we are all free now. The contract is complete, and feel that completion in your bones. Let me share something deeply personal with you. The day I realized I didn't just happen to be born into a family of emotional suppression, that my soul had specifically chosen this assignment, everything changed. I stopped being a victim of my family's emotional unavailability and became the sacred warrior who transformed our entire lineage's capacity to love. In one of my deepest meditations, I felt my great-great-grandmother's soul weeping with relief. She had been waiting over a century for someone in the family line to finally feel what she couldn't feel, to love how she couldn't love. Here's what you need to understand. Your healing is never just personal. It's transpersonal, multidimensional, affecting the entire field of consciousness your family exists within. When you heal, everyone heals. When you break free, everyone breaks free. I want to leave you with this soul wisdom that I hope will stay with you forever. You didn't randomly inherit your family's patterns. Your soul specifically chose this lineage knowing you had the spiritual power to transform centuries of unconscious patterns into conscious evolution. You are not doomed to repeat their limitations. You are the miracle they prayed for across lifetimes. And here's something beautiful. You're not alone in this sacred work. We're all soul-level family healers, incarnated at this exact time in human history to break generational patterns and raise the collective consciousness of humanity. None of us chose this sacred work by accident. We're all here together, doing this deep healing work for the planet. So I want you to do something brave right now. Comment below and tell me, what ancestral pattern is your soul here to transform? When you speak your soul mission publicly like this, you anchor it into reality and inspire others to remember theirs. Your courage to share gives others permission to see their own sacred assignment. And listen, your children and grandchildren, born and unborn, are counting on you to complete this sacred work. Even if you don't have biological children, every pattern you heal affects the collective human family. You are healing for all of us. The ripple effects of your courage will touch lives you'll never even know about. If this video activated something ancient in your soul, hit subscribe. Next week I'm sharing something even deeper. Signs you're carrying your mother's unhealed trauma and how to give it back with love. That one's going to be a game changer. Before I go, remember this. Stop trying to be spiritual. Start being real. You are the sacred healing your ancestors have been praying for across time. You are not broken. You are not damaged. You are the answer to ancestral prayers that have been whispered in the quantum field for generations. Go, do your sacred work. The world needs your healing.